Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 212, which is called Amado's Defection. So we're straight back into manga content in this episode with what I thought was a very interesting, intense episode that had a lot of intrigue, but was primarily set up for what is to come. Both the Kashin Koji Amado fight, as well as the information that Amado is about to portray. So it's this kind of interesting episode where I actually don't think there's a ton necessarily to discuss with this one, just because as someone who has read the manga and knows kind of the details that are about to come, I'm so focused on the idea of this sequence is about that information. So I kind of almost don't really want to talk about it too much and avoid going into spoilers just for people who are anime only. But I think the best thing about this episode was just in terms of execution, they managed to really get across Amado exceptionally well in this episode. We've had episodes that have focused a little bit on him before, but this really is his chance to sort of jump into the spotlight. The truth behind everything, the reveal comes out here that Amado, Kashin Koji have been working together here. The whole investigation of who is the Kara traitor, fully properly comes to an end here with this reveal that Kashin Koji has been basically created to kill Jigen. That's the aim of them, of course, and that Amado, in sort of executing this plan, officially leaving Jigen, betraying him here, is defecting to the Leaf Village to, I guess, get asylum, safety by siding with the other people who are against Jigen. And this is him both sort of putting himself at risk, but also trying to, guarantee his safety here. So I liked a lot of that sort of discussion from the other characters surrounding this, of why is he doing this? There's definitely an aspect of sincerity here that he wants to be kept safe from the people he's helping to take down. And Kawaki is able to sort of relay that as well, that, yeah, Amado doesn't leave the base. The fact that he's out shows that he's putting himself at risk, and he wouldn't do this unless it was something serious. So Kawaki having that Kara connection, allows for a little bit of extra insight here. In terms of how they did this compared to the manga, the main things would just be that they kind of altered the sequence of some of the scenes a little bit, in that during the interrogation scene where they actually he's physically in person with Naruto and Shikamaru. In the manga, he does actually reveal sort of the first stage of the kind of Jigen Otsutsuki reveals. And then he gets the call on his glasses and they go into that. Here, it seems like they're making the decision to save all of the reveals to sort of do as a big chunk while the fight is actually going on, rather than just having them be a little bit more scattered, broken up. And I think that will work a little bit better. It means that going forward, we're actually going to get very interesting episodes that are, I guess, half big fight and then half super, super important information that relates to lore, characters, all this sort of stuff. We're going to learn so much about the Otsutsukis that we've never learned about before. And again, he teases the idea of, I'll tell you all this stuff about Jigen, the Otsutsuki's, the Ten Tails and stuff like that. There's a lot of teases for these things that we know about already, but maybe haven't been able to fully connect the dots on. So the tease of, I know everything because I was effectively Jigen's right-hand man. I am the Kara research and development person. The reason every Kara member is so powerful is because of me. And so Katasuke has an interest in him as well, because he's trying to investigate the Kara technology and why it's so advanced. And here's the guy who made that possible. And obviously it just creates the intrigue that surrounds Amado about who is he? His technology is levels above anything the other nations have, the ninja villages have. How is that possible? Where did he learn it from? Who is he? And just, even though like this episode is mainly about him trying to defect, get asylum, prove that the Leaf Village should listen to him, they should protect him because he can offer quite a lot. You also get to see how sort of capable he is just through his sort of planning and his technology. That we have that scene at the start of the episode where Delta confronts them. It feels like that there's the ending of the investigation plot. It's like she discovers them in the act, colluding together. And we think we're going to have a fight here between Kashin Koji and Delta. But Amado's just like, I got this. Time to sleep, Delta. And it just activates. It's a deactivation code activated vocally. And she just collapses to the ground. So it highlights that with a lot of the car members, he has that shut-off code here. He programmed in, built-in protection for himself, basically. So that's really, really impressive. And it's actually still a plot point that is sort of present in the manga, like, currently. But there's a whole few other angles that we haven't got to yet on that front. But still, that is an interesting reveal that, like, Kashin Koji's like, oh, that's the first time I've seen that. He probably has that for me as well. And that's one of the things Jigen does sort of say to Kashin Koji is that, like, you are just sort of working for Amado. Like, are you even your own person type thing? And it's, again, teasing the idea of, like, who is Kashin Koji? And especially now that our characters from the Leaf Village are able to see Kashin Koji, see Jigen. This is the proof that he's telling the truth, that he's actually activating a plan against Jigen and is worth trusting. So it's not this thing of like, hey, trust me, even though you shouldn't trust me. It's like, no, trust me because I'm being relatively reasonable here and I'm showing you stuff that you otherwise wouldn't know. So that's cool. Even just the way he handled, like, Shikacho trio, that he's able to just use these little bit of technology, the fact that I suppose he in depth knows how sort of like chakra, how ninjutsu works, and that he can disturb people's sort of senses and how they can use their chakra, and that's how he broke free of Shikadai's jutsu. And then again, just by using specific drugs that he has secretly in kind of parts of him, he's able to take control of Shikadai and then use him as a way to sort of just prevent him from just being immediately killed by the village. It's a very clever plan, and especially revealing that he can, just activate the bombs without showing any sense of like moving to activate it. It just is like he said, boom, it blew up, and so the village had to listen. But it created an interesting dynamic for Shikamaru and Naruto as characters, in that Shikamaru is usually the one who's very kind of calculated, and they actually flip the roles in this case. Naruto is typically the kind of more emotional character who would kind of jump to the defense of Shikadai above all else, but because it's Shikamaru having to act as a father, he's the one who gets frustrated by Amado and almost risks Shikadai more than Naruto does, and Naruto's actually being more sort of calculated and considered in this moment, in that I like that Naruto, who you don't typically associate as like being able to sort of see through a plot like this. He has sort of kind of clever kind of battle intrigue at times with his tricks, but here he's actually showing a good sort of read of the situation that, wait, you're not going to just like kill Shikadai on a whim, because immediately you are going to die. You might take out other people here, but you're going to die, and you've come here to protect yourself. So yes, what you're doing to Shikadai is a threat, and we're going to listen to you because of that, but it's not the be-all, end-all threat that you think you have. And so Naruto's able to sort of convince him of just like, tell us some information and prove that we should listen to you. And Naruto is actually the one able to take control of the situation, and he's actually the one to calm Shikamaru down. So that was actually a nice scene there. We also get a quick cutaway to see that Sasuke is present here, and Sasuke actually plays a like reasonable role and stuff coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how, yeah, if they do incorporate him in the same way. Simply just for the fact that like he was the one who ultimately like discovered the Otsutsuki connection with Kara in the first place, so it makes sense that he would also be here for the big reveals coming out. So there's that. Moegi got a little bit of a chance to shine here. Her jutsu was pretty cool. There's still the thing every time with Moegi about, I think, what was it? One of like the data sections in one of the manga volumes mentions that she has like wood style, and I don't think we've ever seen it confirmed that she actually does or does not have wood style. But still, her using a big jutsu was actually cool to see. Beyond that, what else is there to really talk about? Again, it's more of a hype build up for boom, we're getting the big action next week. We saw a glimpse of the fight here. With the idea that the dynamic is Jigen is just over 10% recharged from his fight from before. And Kashin Koji obviously is, as we've seen in his previous kind of involvement, is exceptionally powerful himself. So it's actually a decent match here of Kashin Koji going up against a recovering Jigen. Now, we obviously always saw was sort of a quick sort of shuriken, quick dodge, stab with the sort of chakra rods thing, exchange, but it's a shadow clone, and we're about to, I suppose, head into the proper first exchanges of this fight. Because there's still like a lot of stuff with Jigen that like, yeah, there's more to his powers that we need to get into, and obviously the whole idea of the truth behind what exactly is going on here, because the main questions I suppose we mainly have with him are that, okay, you've established that Boruto is Momoshiki's vessel, and that's sort of what the karma mark basically means. But how does that work with like Jigen exactly? Because that means there's like another Otsutsuki in play, and we know like certain information, but it's like, what happened there? Like, we know what happened to Momoshiki, but like, what has caused this instance to happen with this character, where Momoshiki didn't immediately appear to have like a karma mark, but then he apparently is Jigen is an Otsutsuki, but also like has a karma mark also, and it's like, what's the situation there? Like, there's reveals that like we now know if you've read the manga. You could probably figure it out if you connect a few dots, but that we're waiting for like the truth to really come out. Like, huge reveals about what the karma is, what Otsutsukis are, and that sort of thing. So that's what a lot of the hype is around. So like there's big things coming up. The question obviously I suppose for next week is going to be, is next week going to be the sort of big heavy animation episode? My guess is that it will be solid, but they might save the heavy animation for maybe the episode after. That has typically been the way things have gone, that like the start of the fights rarely get the like absolute big stuff, just because again we're going into sort of a sequence of fights here all in a row. You can tell they're going to have to like carefully choose which episodes to go in on, and this fight, part of it definitely is worth doing quite a bit on, but there is other stuff happening shortly, because as far as I suppose we're concerned here, the expectation is that over the next sort of couple of months, I think like end of September, early October probably, we will be getting into like more or less everything except the most recent manga arc. At which point there's actually a pretty good time to break and maybe do a few anime original arcs, like have a larger sequence of episodes that aren't anime focused, because they're going to need to give time for the manga to build up more chapters before they get back to it. So a break is incoming. And obviously from the intro we know roughly where they're going up to, and that is pretty much within 6 chapters of present to where we are now. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to get towards. It might mean we're eventually going into, like I said, quite a big batch of anime originals, but anime original content's been pretty good of late, and I think just with some of the dynamics they have going on, it actually could work out pretty well. But I think all it means is that we're in for a treat for probably the next 2-3 months in the anime, and I'm very excited for it, especially the next like probably 2-3 weeks, just because in the manga I loved these chapters while we were getting this fight plus the really cool explanation, and I think the anime is going to do a great job, just from the fact that already they're setting up that they're going to try and group it together a little bit more and not have it maybe be as broken up, so that should work out well. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this week's episode. But other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.